Call meeting to order. Roll call, please, Jenna.
Mike Dawson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald, Jennifer Finley. Here. Jim Molitaire, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt, Bing Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Una.
Martin Charlo,
Present.
Len Tutis, Lanish Trahan.
Thank you, Jen. Bing, could you give us a prayer this morning?
Lemon Skull and Sutton, we thank you, Creator, for your blessings that you've given us. We thank you for bringing our elders together yesterday at the conference that was put on. It was a very good conference. I thank you for bringing them all there. Father, we ask you for watch over our children, our grandchildren, most of all, our elders. Father, we ask you, Father, to watch over those that are in our armed forces, our law enforcement, and those that are in our medical field that are taking care of our elders and whatnot. Just thank you, Father, for all the blessings that you give us, especially with this weather coming in. Just thank you in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Bing. We have minutes from what date's on it? April 23rd.
Mr. Chairman.
Good, James.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've sent Abby my corrections. On page 5 of 12, I took out a big chunk of what I said there. It basically boils down to, James commented that when the tribal council established 100%, it should be tribal employment. Forgot to put that. Abby commented that the tribal council established 100% tribal employment by the 1990s, I think it was, and it was never measured. So I took out, we do not know exactly how many tribal members we have employed, and we do not know the breadth of what our working age population is. Left in the next two sentences, and then I took out a big chunk at the end where it starts. CSKT has about 1,500 employees, and I deleted it all the way down to, and he was shocked when he got on council this time to find out council no longer approves them. Took out that whole paragraph. And then on page 7 of 12, I took out the sentence about SK Housing Authority. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On page 3, on the medicine tree trip, can we just take out the food will be provided?
Thank you, Martin. If there aren't any more changes, I would entertain a motion.
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by James Steele to accept the minutes from April 23rd with improved amendments, corrections. Second by Martin. All in favor? Unanimous. We have an agenda. Anybody like to add to the agenda? Len? Martin? James? I'll let you know what we did with the governor. I'd entertain a motion to accept the agenda with additions. Motion by Vang, second by Martin. All in favor? Unanimous. Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and once again, good morning, everyone. Just a brief comment about the Elders Conference yesterday. I think it was very successful. We had a great turnout. It appeared there was a lot of people having a lot of good times there, and I think the elders appreciated that we or that the staff took the time to put together an event like that. And I would like this to be an annual event. And perhaps even maybe once or twice a year. I think it's really important that we continue to support these types of events, because what it does is one of the primary things it does is it gets our elders out of their home, and they get to visit with people that they haven't seen, for a long time. Other than attending powwows and such. I think this is a great venue for people to get together and talk about issues that people don't like to talk about in the community, and that's elder abuse, because it's more prevalent than we think. It's happening in our own families, and we need to acknowledge that. We need to let the elders know that, hey, we know what's happening, and we're trying to do something about it. We're trying to address it. And so I will continue, as long as I'm on council, to advocate that this event happens every year, same time every year. And I really would like to see more in-depth planning from the staff. I felt that this agenda was just put together in a short period of time, when in fact they had the whole year to do it. And this easily could have been a 2 or 3 day event for the elders, because it's something that we need to make them feel special, make them feel that, yeah, hey, when we all were running for council, that was one of the issues that we brought up, that we would take care of our elders, right? And so now is the time for us to show that and prove that. So, but there was probably I'm guesstimating 100+ people that showed up yesterday. Good food. Vance Homegun was our MC. He did an awesome job. Did an excellent job. He kept things rolling, kept us all laughing, and it was just a good atmosphere, good environment to be in yesterday. So I just wanted to report back to that. I also wanted to talk with council today. I kind of want council approval to move forward on additional funding that is needed. Well, I don't want to say that is needed, because this was a project that we brought up. This is in regards to the Elmo Powwow grounds. Okay. There were a few items that we wanted to get done this year. One of them was in regards to some preventative maintenance of the dance arbor. Many of you guys noticed the dance arbor, that the pillars that hold up the dance arbor, they already have woodpecker holes in them. Okay. One of the ways to prevent that is to oil the pillars. And so you have to use some special kind of linseed oil, I think, to do that. And
And they identified, the amount was gonna come up to $14,000 for the oil that we need, and that's just because I think it needs to be applied every year, you know, otherwise, if we do nothing, if we do absolutely nothing, we will be replacing a dance harbor in years to come, which it will be twice as costly as what we're paying for the stick game harbor. Yeah, I think the stick game harbor is just a little over $1 million right now. And as I understand it, there is unexpended ARPA dollars that we can utilize for this. Okay. Also, we wanted to erect a perimeter fence around the powwow grounds. The significance of this project is we've reached out to a group of church or youth workers that would be coming over, so we would be getting free labor to put this up. And I believe the materials were anywhere from $23,000 to $25,000 that we were needing. But we need to know within the week whether or not we're going to provide funding for the materials, because these people that are coming over to provide us free labor are coming from back east. So we don't want them to show up here and we have no materials, you know. I think we need to take advantage of this unique circumstance, and so we could get those items done at the polo grounds. So I would like to utilize a portion of the unexpended ARPA funds to complete these two projects. Any questions, comments?
Is it eligible for ARPA funding? I mean, there's criteria for ARPA funding.
Isn't that what we utilized? Isn't that what we used for both powwow grounds?
But it's gotta be a safety, health or safety,
It's gotta be what?
health or safety.
Yeah, they're both.
There are some community service dollars, so there's possibilities. There is. We'll look.
Okay.
And I do have a question. You say the elder conference should be 2 or 3 days. Do you think the elders would rather have maybe it happen 3 or 4 times a year for one day so that they sleep in their own bed? Or you look for them to come and stay or to drive back and forth?
That's a good question. Either or.
Yeah.
Either or even both. Even both, because I would like to see this venue reached out to the other tribes and invite elders from other tribes to join us in this too. Similar to what Fort Hall does. Fort Hall, you have people from all over the Northwest coming to that conference every year and participating. But I would support having this event 3 or 4 times, you know, quarterly, having it quarterly. Just
Kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, just like our elders committees, we have those once a month. You know, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be too much, because there's a lot of information in regards to elder abuse prevention that our elders need to know. You know, especially when it comes to fraud, bank
Yes,
fraud,
yes,
for
yes.
example, and things like that, because a lot of them have questions about some of the phone calls that they receive are people that they should or should not even be talking to because they're trying to scam them, you know. I think just different like things like that. Some other good information that was shared yesterday was what to do in case you fall and you're home alone. Vital, important information like that. And dementia was a very good presentation yesterday because it made people alert on some of the symptoms that you need to be watching for to make sure that you're if that's what's happening to you, here's what you need to do. you know, and things like that, but, I totally agree. I would support having, something like that quarterly.
Go ahead, Bing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Dr. Coram did do a real good job with that dementia report that she did made yesterday, and it really woke up a lot. I think a lot of people, and even me, you know, to think about some of the things that could go on with you to start developing dementia, you know, and it was kind of scary because you think, well, maybe I might be heading that way, you know, or something like that. And, but yeah, it was a good presentation like that, you know, what she did, you know, and get back to the Powell grounds, when you know, like it'd be good if we could do that, you know, to get some more of this work done and get some of that funding. And you know, our league too, they aren't in need of some funding up there yet too. And they were told that as soon as they get this, whatever it is expended, and all they're gonna do is get the water line put in up there, and that's all they're gonna get done. That's what they have planned for our league up there. And whether or not they're gonna get it done or not is another thing. I don't know whether they're gonna replace those lines that goes into that shower and bathroom area or not, but you know, they want them replaced. But I don't know, there's some things going on with Kyle. Yeah, I guess he's got to bring it in and everything else. I said, well, I thought they had that approved already for the work that done. But he said, well, we need a contractor. We need to get approval for the contractor. And I thought they already had the guy because he was already looking into those lines that were going in there. So I thought they already had a contractor for that. But you know, they just drag their damn feet. I mean, they don't want to do any work. And here we got a couple months left before the Powell's here. Next thing, we're gonna have a couple weeks again, like they did before, like last couple of years. You know, and it gets to be a pain in the neck, you know, and I mean, you talk about issues, you know, with our employees not getting, you know, working and not getting the work done here, and the talk that we had here Tuesday about non-members working. You know, we have a tough time getting these people here to do their work. And we have to have other people come in to do work for us to get that work done. You know, and that's why I voted against it, you know, because I just think about a lot of our people and going and doing this work for us and dragging their feet to get it done, you know, is a problem with what I have, because I walked over the last almost 5 years now. We watch the same damn thing go on at the Powell grounds and elsewhere, you know, that ARPA and housing and repairs on houses, and things are not getting done, you know. It's a pain in the neck, you know, and I don't know, it just makes me mad every time I think about things like that, you know, but you know, and that's why I didn't support that vote the other day, you know, and I thought about it all after all that we done, and made that motion about, you made a motion about passing that, you know, and I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that, you know, but then I think about the work and stuff that not getting done even here in this building here, that a lot of work don't get done, you know, so, you know, it's just that kind of a thing that goes on, and then I gets in the back of my mind and stuff like that, and I have a little problem with it. But yeah, I don't but for the Power Grounds thing again, I would support you for that. I really would. You know, but I'd like to have the same thing done in our league too.
Martin?
And part of the problem with what Len's talking about, you know, Len Michelle's probably talked to most of council about the same thing. He talked to Jordan about it. You know, what it comes down to is SKMM is either misrepresenting what they do or misrepresenting how much money there was, because Michelle was under the impression that they had, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he's been doing a lot of the work himself, like the legwork, looking for these prices, and all these prices that he has are all off-season prices. So everything's gonna be 3,000 to 5,000 more material, just material wise. And I think Jordan brought it up the other day about SKMM, you know, how effective are they actually? How effective are they? And are they just duplicating something that is supposed to be done in-house here by our employee and employees? You know, I'm not impressed with SKMM, you know, like Bing said, it's April, powwow's 4 months, 5 months away. And yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I told Len that we should, you know, Len Michelle, we should do that. And the same with this building, you know, look at the wood pillars on this building. You know, look at these, look at that. And go down the line of things that are screwy with this, you know, maintenance and things like that. And probably should be talking about this in executive, but you know, there's a lot to be desired about that whole, it's just a sign of all the extra bad that isn't, you know, just lack of work.
Jen and Danielle.
Yeah, I support Len's idea. I think it's worth it to protect our investment, what we've invested in the infrastructure for the Elmo powwow, and it is used as an emergency service. Now, and I believe that's how we justified the ARPA dollar, so I support what they're doing down there. I think it's a worthwhile investment. It's a really important thing to protect, and doesn't make sense to build this big expensive structure and not protect it. So I support it. It's a good idea.
Go ahead, Danielle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I support that, Len, for the powwow grounds there in Elmo. We need to take care of our investment, as previously stated. And it's on the Elder Conference. All the feedback I heard was really good. So the only one negative thing that I'd heard is it was mandatory for the caregivers, the providers that provide to our elders to be there. And some of them had some trouble finding somebody to cover for them that day. Some of our elders can't get out of their homes as much as they'd like to, and so support doing it quarterly or over a longer period of time. But if it's going to be mandatory, I would hope for a Zoom option, maybe for some of our caregivers that can't find somebody to help them out that day. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will reach out with Greg, get clarification on if we're able to use those unexpended ARPA funds for the Arley and Elmo Powwow Grounds for the project. So, and then not only that, I think we need to be a little bit more aggressive with SKMM, and I think we need to just start setting hard dates down, putting dates down for them to get this done. You know, because if we don't, it's going to be one of those things. They'll drag it on and drag it on. It's just the nature of contracts like that. You know, things happen, and but I think we as leaders, I think we have that obligation. We need to start setting some strict dates down and putting them in those contracts.
I mean,
Martin.
again, we're getting into micromanaging people that get paid a lot of money to do their job. You know, like all those people at SKMM, they know when the powwow is. You know, like even the building, the HVAC thing was, you know, NRD was into December saying that they were going to get their HVAC heating system in November, and December, January, they're still sending me pictures of, you know, 50-degree office. And so it's not like, I mean, God, we shouldn't have to micromanage. We shouldn't have to tell them how to do their jobs when they're getting paid you know, probably more than all of us. Oh, every time.
Martin, you had an issue?
Yeah, I guess I was gonna have a little presentation, but I got sidetracked by being irritated. Uh, there are, again, last year we supported a couple of disc golf tournaments, with sponsorship. There's one in Kalispell, the second Saturday, and then there's also one in Troy, on the third Saturday in June. The sponsorship would be $100. It's a gold sponsorship. We would have our logo on the t-shirts and kind of all the other material that they have on. We'll probably be able to get a whole sponsorship, so we can put up our sandwich boards. All in our indigenous homelands, and it's good to get out there and support these things. I feel like the more presence we show in our homelands, maybe the more questions are asked and the more education, and it is, you know, a growing sport. So that'd be my request.
Thank you, Martin. James?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few things. I appreciate the report on the elder abuse conference. And I know I didn't get to go. I went to Binky's, Binky Bauman's retirement thing down at Technologies. They did a neat little event.
I'm glad you made
And
that.
yeah, they had me speak. I was able to give a little speak for council or talk, excuse me. The other thing is I know council doesn't endorse candidates, us as a body, but is it okay if we individually endorse? Okay, because Monica Trinnell's asked if I could endorse her, so. Is she, okay, yeah, so if that's okay, I will do that. The other awesome thing I think you all saw was Dana Jackson being formally nominated for US District Court for the District of Montana. So that's a pretty awesome thing. Hopefully, I don't know what we need to do with Senator Daines, but anybody friends with them? We can, yeah, anybody, Steve Martin, you friends with him? Okay, can you go butter him up? Oh, gosh, okay. Yeah, I'll take Tester, not those other bozos, but, the other thing is I just agree with the council's general comments in terms of, you know, our frustrations with, some of the lack of response or work, things that we're expecting. And it just seems like it's a variety of things, you know, we're talking powwow grounds, or we might be talking something else, or HVAC, or I think, I want us to ponder, Mr. Chairman and Council, thinking about us having the executive team, just have him in here, and if it's executive session, we need just a frank discussion to say, here's what we're seeing. And you know, before we had the executive team, we would have, quarterly meetings with the department heads. We would sit in here and have all the department heads, and we would all be there and be able to ask them all questions, and they would give us reports. And I haven't seen that, so maybe we need to think about doing something like that. And but anyway, thank you, council members. I appreciate the words this morning.
Thank you, James. I'll hold off and give the report about the governor later. We have MVP here. We can get started with MVP. Good morning. Good morning. Back, Teresa. Board.
They are requesting executive.
We'll go out of regular into executive. Okay, Teresa.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, council. Our executive discussion was the perfect discussion to lead into the action items today. The Bureau of Indian Affairs did a condition assessment in 2021 on the utilities substation assets. 5 of those were identified for repair and upgrade due to risk and age. The Kerr substation had the highest risk factor of 5.1 and West Shore had a risk factor of 4.4. We're here today to ask you to adopt 2 contracts to begin this important work. These, let the record be clear, these are sole source contracts. And Mission Valley Power has a procurement manual that allows for a sole source procurement in the event of emergency and or inadequate competition. According to our procurement manual, the tribal chairman has to sign any contract in excess of $1 million. So we're here to ask for 2 particular contracts. Both of the contracts are for 2-year terms with utility engineering. They're out of Texas. The contract terms would be from April 29th through September 30, 2025. The board and the general manager have done an analysis of available ratepayer funds, bills funding, and grant funds. And we believe at this point in time, we have sufficient revenues to make these financial commitments to begin these important projects. For the Kerr project in particular, our initial plan, and we know plans change, our initial plan is that the Kerr substation would be upgraded and energized, I believe, by May. And West Shore has a similar time frame. The unknown, I don't want to ever project that this is a perfect scenario. The unknown at this time is increase in materials when delivered because transformers have gone up 26% in freight expenses. So there may be some miscellaneous cost increase with these 2 contracts before we're done. But the board and the general manager are committed to austerity budget at the utility, trying to cover every single thing we can within the available budget.
Go ahead, Lynn.
So who inspects the contractor's work to make sure that the scope of work that we contracted them is done the way we needed it?
So internally, Mission Valley Power, we have our, our engineers and our operations people are part of that. What we're planning on this time, Kerr is such a quick turnaround that what we've agreed to is having the Texas company do the whole thing and do it in their timely order, but give us a quarterly update of where the process is and what services have been provided. But the West Shore one is going on the same time, and that one they're going to provide like 160 hours of guidance and training to our internal staff on all the steps of what's required to build a substation.
Okay.
So
just out of curiosity, I know these kind of contracts are unique. So did the contractors provide some kind of warranty on their work? Something were to happen after the contract expires? Do we have them come back within the year's time and fix whatever happened,
they're all required to provide insurance to cover situations like that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Yes, you're all aware, I'm sure, that we're working on getting our engineers licensed. None of the engineers we have presently are licensed. We have reviewed this company's credentials and that they are licensed within the state of Montana. They are PE credentialed. The designs they produce, they seal them. And then we've made sure that we have liability insurance to protect the utility and the tribes from anything that may happen. And then the normal equipment warranty, like on transformers, that will also apply. But based on their credentials, they will, I hate to say the term self-certified, but they have the credentials to design, instruct, construct, and we made sure we did. I think Zach did a great job, 7 reference checks on them, and we've met the vice president and the substation engineer and the principal engineer. They traveled out here, so we're feeling like this is a very credible company to work with.
Good, Zach.
And to add to that, yes, we did do the reference checks. We're in our normal process and, we have a lot of experience there. And, our job is to make sure that they're on it and watching it and learning as we go forward. To recognize issues that they see, and we'll address those as they come up.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could, going back to our agenda. So, we talked a little bit about an unknown. We're going to try to avoid that. There is the potential for increase in costs related to matters outside of our control. We also have sort of a plan B. In the case of a significant cost increase, the utility would look first at budgeted funds, then available bills funds, then the emergency reserve, and I've listed that as a last resort. And so the tribal council action requested today is we're looking at council to authorize 2 separate contracts with utility engineering for the Kerr sub and West Shore substations from April 29th, 2024 to September 30, 2025, acknowledging the sole source procurement due to the need to sustain system reliability and for project management services on site. And we have both of those contracts prepared and reviewed by legal and numbered by OAB.
Number.
James.
Oh, excuse me, numbered by us, excuse me.
James, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment. Kerr substation referring to the substation down by the dam, right? Can we change the name?
Can we change the name?
Yeah, from Kerr to
Yeah.
SKQ, just a thought.
I can't think of a reason why not. And if we have no barrier to that, I think
Just a thought,
Doable,
thank
yeah.
you.
I think it's probably MVP's registry.
Maybe afterwards. I mean.
It's true, it's true.
Yes. Yes.
And I think the kind of, oh, I apologize.
Sorry.
No. The thing this is an important information. This is important steps that we're doing. We, as we were looking for a new firm, by doing this, we're going away from a firm. Okay. And the old firm didn't provide us, with the stuff that we needed, the timeliness of all this stuff. So I spent a lot of time trying to make sure we got the right group in there that is going to be responsive to our needs and that we can communicate with. Some of the deals is if you deal with the giant companies, you get what you get. And it was the first thing I found out as I started talking to a lot of the people that work for Mission Valley Power is that the responsiveness isn't there. And, you never know who you're going to get. You might get their A team, might get all the way down to their D team doing some of their work. And what we're doing is paying to train them. This company that we're talking about, Utility Engineers, is a mid-level company, which is just kind of right on the border of making this big step to a bigger company. But
like I said, they've been very, very, very respectful and they've answered everything we needed. So again, like going forward, it's a new company, it's a new manager, and I think a lot of that stuff is gonna work together.
I'd just like to mention, I got a note from Shane to mention something. We did this contract on the standard CSKT contract template, so as long as they agree, all of our important aspects in the contract, like venue, it's gonna be us, it's gonna be tribal law. We have a very generous termination clause that's one-sided. We get 10 days notice and we can terminate for any reason. We built in quarterly reports so we can terminate in a timely fashion if they're not delivering. And just wanted to make sure council was aware of that because we felt like that was extra protection for MVP.
Go ahead, James.
Follow up, Mr. Chair. If I could, on my suggestion, just maybe build it in gradually. You know, like once you get through this process, you know, set a date at some point that seems reasonable to. It just seems like we should just change the name. But, you know, let's get through this process and, but I appreciate the comment. That makes sense. Yeah, let's get through this part before we throw another thing in there. But maybe just plan it out. At some point, we're gonna change. It just makes sense. Thank you.
And hopefully we're not taking, oh,
Go ahead. Did you ever get?
Yeah. It sounds like the company you're talking about is hungry to get to the next level, so. Cindy, go ahead.
One thing I really appreciated about these people is they were very interested in working with our engineers. I felt, you know, they met with them for how many days?
2 weeks, two separate meetings for a week.
Yeah. And I just feel like they're gonna be good for our engineers to bring them up to the level they need to be also.
Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, we'll do it in two. Motion for each contract.
I'd make a motion for the Kerr substation, contract with utility engineering for $1.5785 million.
Motion by Martin, second by James. All in favor? Unanimous. So the next one's the West Shore substation. Motion by Len. Second by Jennifer. All in favor? Unanimous.
Awesome. This is a huge step towards system reliability and towards utilizing the bills funds that Interior made sure that we received. Our strategy, if we are very successful, will step out, use these bills funds, and then if they have any that aren't used by anyone else, then they can give them to us. So that's kind of what we're thinking.
Zach, but
Yes, members of the council, I'd just like to add one more comment to what's happened here today. We appreciate it very much. Approval of these contracts. I have not been on the board for a year yet, but when we first came on, we were talking about the rate increase, the processes we needed to go to get that rate increase. We were following the processes from previous years, and halfway into the procedure, we were hit with a bucket of cold water by the BAA saying, oh, back in 2018, there was a change in the rules and now we have to go a different direction. And we struggled with that, but we have continued to proceed. But I cannot help but express my frustration at the Bureau of Indian Affairs because we are trying to improve their system. And it's like dragging through the mud, which is really hard to do. It's much easier to walk on firm ground than it is to slog through knee-deep mud. And that's what I feel that we're having to face with the BIA procedures. And just as an example, Teresa received a telephone call a few days ago from the solicitors who seems to be the, at least in my opinion, the major impediment to moving this thing forward, who wanted to know if we had recorded the public hearings, the comments, and Teresa said, we have minutes, we kept records, we have the written testimony, but no, we didn't record the meeting. And then expressed to me, said, well, they have a consumer counsel who presented the rate processes to the public. And if they wanted a recording, they could have asked the consumer counsel to do it. But they didn't, but here just within 2 weeks, they're asking us for minutia of the kind of process. So I appreciate, Mr. Toothheath, your recommendations to maybe move beyond the bureaucrat that's directly ahead of us and see if we can't get something done at a higher level, because $100,000 a month, and we've been 8 months into this process, so that's almost $1 million. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I agree with your frustration. I'm working on a committee that's got the same exact frustration. Go ahead, James.
Thank you. I appreciate your candor. Getting hit with the bucket of cold water by the Bureau of Indian Affairs is a daily occurrence. And I'm looking at Brian Upton in the back, and him and I spent many days together getting hit with a bucket of cold water by the Fish and Wildlife Service. So, yeah, thank you for your candor.
Exactly.
I want to add one more. Dan, came, he mirrored what James and we're talking about renaming. And he said, once we complete the substation and we can make it a big, event where we got this substation, and by that time we should have a name, and then we'll rename at that point. So that probably is a good plan.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is Mission Valley Power is requesting authorization to apply for a Department of Energy grant for a mobile substation. This grant is number DEFOA 0003298, Clean Energy Technology Deployment on Tribal Lands. This, we discussed applying for this grant when the Tribal Energy Director was here. And we will be applying under what's called Topic Area 3. And our goal will be to seek funding for a mobile substation for tribal community resiliency, because this would be giving us an emergency option to provide power for sustained service. We have provided a resolution. We're not yet informed of the total cost. We know we would be obligated to provide a 20% cost match, but we would like to proceed and try this. We believe this is the right thing to do.
Motion by Martin to pursue the grant to pay for the mobile substation. Second by Bing. All in favor? Unanimous. Go ahead, Len.
So I was doing some research on these mobile substations and looking at them, and I'm just kind of curious, do we have the resources to build our own? Is that something we could look at? I mean, we have a lot of intelligent people over there at Mission Valley Power, and I'm not sure what it's going to take, but it looks like, just looking at these mobile substations, I would think that it's something that we could put together ourselves. But anyway, just a thought.
Yeah. The thing is, and Mike just brought up, we'd have to really make sure we follow all the rules and get it completed, because the liability would then fall back on us if it didn't work the way it was supposed to. But yeah, you look at that, it's a semi, and it's just the substations and how they connect it and all that stuff. I think we should have the abilities internally to handle that. But it could be risky, but it's something I have not thought about. but now I'm gonna bring it back to the team and say, hey, can you guys put this together and what would it take?
And if it worked, could you imagine, I mean, that would really put us on the map if the tribes built their own mobile substation.
Yeah,
I think that would be.
Councilman Tuteeth, are you, proposing having the grant proceed with the plans for a potential, MVP build? Or you want to prioritize a build over the grant?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, I would just think if we could take a look at if that's even possible. I don't even know if it's even possible that we could do it, but,
Well, you're replacing a couple substations. You got parts.
I think it's possible, licensed engineering would be one of the challenges. So we'd probably have to subcontract or contract for something like that, but that could give our engineers experience.
if we can purchase one and build one,
Yeah.
you know,
that
the
sounds-
more substation, more mobile substations we have, the better off we're gonna be.
Yeah, no, agreed.
That's a great idea. And I'm gonna bring it back to the team and we'll send something out that describes that. You know, it'd be great if you bring that up on Monday's meeting, your idea. Cause we've invited you guys for the 29th to come to our Monday meeting at 7:30. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Councilman, we have a follow-up meeting with DHRD on the 30th for our groundman proposal. So we've had one face-to-face meeting and we'll have a second follow-up meeting. So we're still in process with using DHRD funds to fund several groundsman placement at MVP. Thank you for your time and attention and words of encouragement and approving the contracts. Go team, right?
And great ideas, you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
We can squeeze Brian up and in right now would be good before you break.
Come on up, Brian. The 7:30 meeting, the 29th. It's not a mandatory meeting, being it's an invitation from them to come to their meeting. Morning, Brian.
Good morning. I'll make this super fast. I caught your committee comment and I think I know which one you're talking about. The first, we could be open. These are both pretty pro forma. So this first letter in front of you is a comment from the tribes to the negotiated rulemaking committee. For the record, I think this might be the first public comment that the committee has received in a year and a half. And this would be reinforcing a couple of CSKT's primary issues. And it would probably get a little attention because so far it's I think it's the only comment. And for the council's background, and we'll update you in more detail later, but the first issue on this letter, inherently federal functions, is also the subject of a letter that is going from the entire committee to Assistant Secretary Newland and a number of folks at the solicitor's office. So there should be some synergy here with respect to that. The second item on the letter, the last section, deals with contract support costs, which has been one of our priorities. So this letter will be helpful to make sure that leadership knows that that's an important issue. So those are the primary things this letter would accomplish, but it also takes care to incorporate all of the other tribal positions that the committee has taken over the last 2 or 3 public meetings that we've had. And this will be closing out, for the most part, the negotiated rulemaking committee's sessions, plenary sessions. They will probably be reconvening after comments from the proposed rule have been collected in a few months. but we're winding down this process with the goal of hopefully having a final rule published in mid-December before the administration wraps up.
I think, Martin has the, ag letter up instead of the,
Oh, yep, and that's joint. So that's the next one. I can,
there you go, that's the first letter.
do you want me to go on to the second, or does anyone have questions about the first or proposed revisions?
Is there any objection to the first letter?
I did, Chairman, I'm sorry, I did notice, I probably should have, in the second paragraph, we reference Vicky and Secretary Howland, and I should probably put Assistant Secretary Newland in there in between, if that sounds good.
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll do that.
If there's no objections, we can go to the next letter.
Okay, so the next one is, this is an outgrowth of the briefings we've given with respect to the Native Farm Bill Coalition, their request for CSKT support. I did notify Phil Bakershank that Dana would be able to attend those fly-in meetings on the Hill next month, and that the chairman and council are talking to see who may be able to come out with her if possible. But this letter, if the council wants to support this, would put the tribes actively on the record with the Secretary of Agriculture, as well as the Hill. At the self-governance conference the chairman and I went to last week, one of the women that is primarily staffing this Farm Bill Coalition made a point to tell a USDA representative that she has a stack of 30 letters from tribes that are requesting expansion of self-governance and 638 contracting. So this would become part of that packet. And as I'd mentioned before, they feel they are getting some increased traction with some leaders and players on the Hill, including chairman of the Senate Indian Affairs Committee. So if the council wants to weigh in on this, this may be an opportune time to start having your voice heard and to let them know that Salish Kootenai is actively supporting this, because everyone knows who you are. So this is what I have drafted. I did, after I sent it to you, I sent it to staff as well, and John Harrison had a couple good edits to the second to last paragraph that just references how the tribes are currently developing good neighbor authority projects within Region 1 of the Forest Service. So if this letter is, if you approve it, and if you approve that, oh, you've already got it. That's great, Jen. I didn't think I sent that. Okay. So I guess John did that. Thank you. So if you're good with the letter, she's amazing. She's amazing. I can finalize this, or we can finalize this and send it out and make sure it goes to everyone on the Hill.
Chair,
Go ahead, James.
I was gonna tease Brian, it's called technology.
I know.
Sorry, Brian.
I'm kind of a foreigner with respect to that. That's it.
Any comments about the coming on board with the Department of Agriculture and self-governance? Any objection to sending the letter? I think we're good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Brian.
I'll correct the
Daryl's up next at 10:45, right?
Yep, right.
Break. Take a break. Well, come on up, Daryl and crew. We'll find Martin somewhere. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Looks like my district meeting. Go ahead, Daryl. There's a mic in front of you. You have to click the button on. There you go. You're good now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Anyway, we did come up here about that cemetery road and we got the bids on it. There's 4 of them. There's 4 of them, all different. And did you know about?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. So,
Go ahead, Sharon.
And Sherry, the one that got the bids for the chair for the cemetery, she knows where to go, so.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Is it
go ahead.
on?
Yep. Go ahead,
Oh.
Sherry.
Okay, we were just here to ask for your consideration in improving the road up to the Camas Ferry Cemetery. And I got 4 different bids. The lowest bid is, do you want me to go through this or do you do that, Mike?
Mark, you're in charge of the cemeteries.
There we go. What I would rather have that on that for the discussion for the money part of that or anything like that, so we don't put it out there. Have that brought into land committee. Next couple weeks, I think it is. But we can discuss it with you guys and we can talk with council or go into executive so they can be openly discussed without. Because it's not in actual bid yet, so it hasn't been in the process. They just have the bids. So they just be better to talk, I think, in executive.
Go ahead, Len.
thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. First of all, I want to, thank you, Daryl. You've been bringing this issue up for the last 10 years since I've been on council. I know you brought this up time and time again, and I really appreciate you making that effort to do it, because you know what, it needs to get done. It needs to get done, and every time you come in here, we give you the same answer, right?
Yeah, because it's been over 30 years now.
Well, I know it's been every year since I've been on council.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you being really aggressive on trying to get this done, because it needs to get done for our people.
Yeah.
You know, every spring when we have a funeral out there, it gets bad. It's really bad, and we understand that. And I don't think there's ever been a dispute from council on not wanting to get it done. We know it needs to get done. It's just identifying a funding source on how it's gonna get done. So I think at this point in time, this is what we need to have, perhaps Greg Spar identify some funding on what we can do. And not only that, I think it's imperative, let's put a time frame on getting this done. Because we could talk about this all day long, but if we're not gonna put a time frame on it, we'll be sitting here next year talking about the same thing. So I think we need to make sure that we A, find a funding source, and B, get a time frame to get the job done. And I appreciate you taking that extra effort to identify different contractors to put in bids. That makes it a lot easier. But I think we all agree, we just need to just get it done.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alicia.
And I would just like to add that, you know, it seems like I know it's gonna cost money and it needs equipment and time and people, but really, it seems like it could be a fairly simple project. We just need gravel, we need a culvert, we need a road base, so the hearse and the people that are coming out to see their loved ones at the cemetery are not getting stuck in the mud, and the neighboring farmer having to pull folks out. Also, I believe Daryl takes care of that cemetery with his own equipment and his own time, so I just wanted to, make that clear that, he really is caring for that cemetery and doing a lot of work out there, and we just want to honor that.
Yeah, then Rose Sobenic too, she goes out there and help out too, so. Just between us, my family and her family, when we go out, clean it up. We don't get to go out there all the time when we want to because of the road condition. Cause if it's gonna go clean it, we'd have to park on the bottom and walk up there. Because it gets so muddy at times. And that's when it gets frustrating at times, and because, we can't, pay our respect. So that's why I like to see this get done, and Sherry's here is the one that really got it going. And I really appreciate for what she did, getting all the bids.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks.
Len, you got an idea of a time frame you might want to stick on this? Council priority? Mike?
I would think by the end of September would be adequate time to get the contractor in place and get the work done.
Is that consensus of the council?
September 30?
September 30th? Go ahead, James.
Yeah, how many more years you got on you? We gotta get this done now. We can't wait another 30 years, right, Daryl?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with it.
We got a date.
All right.
We'll find some money.
All right,
And
thanks.
it's pulled pork sandwiches tomorrow night.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we can ask Mark to kind of be our project manager and keeping us updated on going through the bids and giving us updates on progress.
Yeah, I think Lands is in charge of all cemeteries now, right, Mark?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, with the discussion that was already done right here, Sherry and them can meet with me real quick. I can get the bids. We could start since that would have been in the RFP process, that we can actually submit contracts and grants and get that bring it into council for the who is the lowest bid, who's gonna do the work and whatnot, so that can be done. So we could do all that side of it to get all that put in place so they can get it as soon as we find out the funding source.
That would be excellent, Mark. Thank you.
Yep.
Chat with Mark. Will you, Sherry?
Yes,
Cool.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, also, Mark, can you take pictures of before and after?
Yeah, I'll have the guys, get out there. Well, they're busy on the highway cleanup and everything today, next week, and I'll just have them get some pre-pictures and have them just throughout the summer. Just so they can see the road itself of what kind of work's needed and what work is done when it's done.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Dan, Lisa. Ricky. So gaming's not here until a quarter after? Well, we are waiting till, gaming gets here, so have the opportunity for taking a break as well, so. Or the. So. Let's start with the minutes. Where are they at? Okay,
February 15th.
yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 15th, 2024 minutes.
Changes.
Chair,
Motion by James,
to approve the amendment.
that'll change that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. And then the next item on our agenda, the request was to discuss the Class 3 gaming compact again with the tribal council.
So we'll go out of regular back into executive then for discussion of class 3. Well, we gotta get Jennifer to stop the recording. Yeah.
You still have the Darth Vader theme song on your phone for a new boss?
Good afternoon. Good to see you, Donnie. Sorry, we're a little late.
Yeah, no problem. I'm honored to be able to come up and visit with you all on some of the new direction that a position that was created in Department of Labor and Industry, and I wanted to share some of the things that we have going, and I'll just introduce myself. Oki Nitanaku Sikimiotas, from Amskapi and I live over in Montana City, and I'm the new developed tribal liaison for Department of Labor and Industry. I sent kind of an updated cover letter or cover here. We got there. But this is basically, Vice Chairman Two Teeth asked me to come up and do the presentation I did with the Rocky Mountain Tribal Leaders Council. There's been some movement I'll share and try to blast through this pretty quick. And if you all have any questions. So this new role as a tribal liaison has never been in place at Department of Labor and Industry. I worked for the Tribal Leaders Council for about 13 years and then went on into Indian education at OPI for 13 years. And then this opportunity came up, and I think the core of much of my work stems from the suicide prevention work that I did at Tribal Leaders Council, and really trying to get our youth to a place where they live a longer, healthier life is the entire goal. And we did a lot of different things at OPI. I was the director of Tribal Student Achievement Relations and Resiliency. So we had a youth component in there. We had a knowledge keeper component. I worked directly with many of our tribal schools and just trying to get our educational systems out there up to par. It was hit and miss. We have a lot of revolving administrators, teachers, staff. There's a lot of trauma, as you guys all know. So it was really just trying to get our kids to a place where they're ready to learn and to prepare them for whatever decision they choose. So then this came up, and these were my first initial goals. I needed to kind of understand some of the things with Department of Labor. I needed to understand what the tribes, because I haven't worked in labor and industry at the tribal level. I knew folks, but I wanted to kind of get to know a lot of that. I also wanted to get the right people into the room. I wanted to educate Department of Labor the best I can, or bring in folks so they understand how to work better with our tribal nations. But then the real part there, that bring the right people to the table and just be a bridge between that. So that was kind of the beginning of some of my work. We pulled in Taro right away. I heard that there was kind of misconceptions of Taro with some of the state Department of Labor groups, maybe some headbutting at times. So I just said, let's bring people into the room, because this is where you go when you're dealing with labor and industry. You work through Taro and various economic development groups. And right away, the misconceptions started to drop. We held 3 round tables, and more people wanted to show up. More people wanted to get involved. So I started to learn a lot more about what is available to anybody in the labor and workforce, but really our youth. I learned about kind of the labor and union, and that they can certify youth and they cover their charges, and they can walk out making 40, 50 an hour in different kind of certifications. I learned about Job Corps, job service. We work with Accelerate Montana and of course OPI. We started to bring in more people, and some of our urban tribal centers were getting involved in different departments. I kind of fell into I think it was a bit of luck, because when I came in, the coordinator of Indian Affairs is Misty Cool, the governor's coordinator. She was going on leave for a bit, so she put me in as her proxy, and I got thrown into all these meetings in every agency imaginable. But I started to understand a little bit about, what they do and what's available and what they're looking for on a tribal level. So it was really a blessing in disguise, and got to just learn more. So we had a 3rd roundtable the taro departments we're running, this Gibby Reset from Chippewa Cree tribe was really pushing a lot of these things. So we started to look at other things like housing and apprenticeship programs. Do our tribes have housing folks that are retiring that could be a master apprentice and pull in 2 or 3 young people underneath them for plumbing, for electrician, different kind of discussions like that. So throughout all of this, it kind of goes back to that core goal anyways, is when I was in education, the main thing that I wanted our kids to understand who and what they are as Indigenous people, to be very proud of that. And we were looking at doing different things to integrate that knowledge and understanding that, you're powerful young people. And so throughout these roundtables and even in my work at OPI, it was often brought up that our youth need to find their purpose. Our young men need to understand who they are as warriors, and we are to protect our women, different kind of philosophies. So I've approached this type of initiative within Department of Labor and Industry. The commissioner, Sarah Swanson, has let me cut loose like I've never thought before, and she supported a lot of my efforts. So we're looking at a different approach, the mindset. I think that there's been a stigma around people that work in the labor industry. And if you don't get your degree, then, you're going to be one of them type thing. And I'll admit, I kind of thought that too. So then I started to wonder why I thought that. And so started to have more discussions with different people and understand, looking at different things like the data. This was the department I ran. And during my work at OPI, our whole thing was to build up a system that prepares our kids for college. And the entire time I worked at OPI, the schools I worked in, the bottom 5% in the state. And so then it was more, let's get them to a place where they're comfortable, where they have, intrinsic skills to get through some of the things that we can, a lot of the kids go to college and things like that, but we were, the data shows there's a lot that aren't. And so this one really kind of shook me when I started to look at it. You look at the state of Montana, 34% of our students go to college, and 18% of our Native youth go to college. And I know that reality. I was working in, Hart Butte, Hayes Lodgepole, Fraser, different places. And you see these students that, are we preparing them? For the most part, not really. And the data will show that. But the goal was to get them to an age of 25, and then their lifespan extends. Because we would lose so many youth that, that 18, when they graduate and they're floating around, there's this fear that we're trying to look at ways to get them connected to something, whatever it may be. So this was really kind of tapping into my new role. So like, if you think about that, 82% of our Native youth aren't going to college. I was in discussions talking about the consistent employment in our tribal nations, and this is in every tribal nation, but for the most part, people get hired by the district or the Fed, the BIA, IHS, tribal departments. Sometimes we're talking about our youth starting their own business. Well, there isn't a lot of examples like in Lame Deer like that. So what else is out there? So the trades, this apprenticeship stuff, I started to understand more. Career technical education stuff, VOAG, VOTech, mentorships and shadowing, apprenticeship programs are huge, and I started to meet those people as well. Looking at what is relevant in our communities that can get a young person some, a career very quickly. So this was a visual that I really dreamt about. And you look at the individual, say a young person. I have been in the left side arrow most of my life. My father was an administrator, my mother was a teacher. And again, that was the direction that I went. And it was a good direction, but I never really looked at this right side very often. And so I asked the folks at Department of Labor and Industry to put my vision to paper. And this is kind of what that came out of that stuff. So I think what I'll be doing is pushing a little bit more in our schools to elevate some of these things, to get some of our probably solid examples within our own tribes that may be electricians or carpenters or apprenticeships or game wardens or whatever it may be. Get them a little bit more involved. Do you have any questions on this visual yet? So this was the full image. And anytime I've done youth leadership for 20 some years now. And what I would always talk about is who you are isn't your career or degree. It's who you are, and your rooted identity is native, or your heritage, your culture, your language, those type things. And I didn't share this really with DLI. I wanted to keep this within my realm. But really, when we're sitting with many of our youth, and for those that have ever been around suicide prevention, some of our kids are going through really tough times. And I've been in situations where I'm in an intervention with a young person that's thinking about taking their life. And you're listening to them, and they're telling you what they're dealing with. And it's hard to find hope. And so, like, it was always this thought, what can I do? Okay, so we save a young person, so what's next? So that's kind of another idea that I was pushing, you know, not just at that heavy level, but just in life. So what's next? You know, what are you guys going to do next? And so being able to link up a young person, of course, they're in school. If they're doing well, then go for it. That's great. But what are some other opportunities that we can do? What are some of the opportunities that the tribe can provide to students? And so that led to these kind of brainstorming sessions. I don't need to go into a lot of this. If you guys have any questions, this is just basically my brain dump. When I started to meet more people, more programs, I started to like put together a web in my head on how we can do this. So what this tarot meetings have done is I'm in talks with the Commissioner Swanson on creating a tarot advisory group within the state of Montana's Department of Labor and Industry. There's never been anything like that. That's something that we'd have to run through the governor, but to get that involved at a state level, because there's a ton of services that the state provides that many of our tribes just didn't know about. I never knew about. And so it's more getting the right people in the room and start figuring this out. So you can see, like, we have the tarot departments. There is protection. There's prevailing wages that, you know, outsiders come in and provide our construction. Can we start to build our own forces or create a tribal local, like Navajo has their own locals, their own unions? And so these were different kind of ideas and thoughts that were going around, and you can see what I'm putting over on the side there. These were some of the other ideas. We started to meet with the tribal colleges, and I was honored to work with your guys' tribal college in the Headwaters Tech Hub. You got some fine things happening there. When I met with the colleges, I said, is there a way that the college can create almost a trades and labor track along with the higher education? Could we start looking at certification, things like that? And the tribal colleges will always say we lack the funds and the resources. We have a really opportune time right now with the AFL-CIO. He's Northern Cheyenne, and it's Jason Small. So I went and met with all the union heads, and they were a flavorful language group when I went in there. But I liked what they were saying. They have, you know, boiler makers, pipe fitters, welders, all of these trades that are in such need. I don't know if your community has a lot of those, but they have certification that they will send kids to get trained. They come back and they're certified and can go anywhere they want, or they can stay within their communities, all these different kind of things. So we started to bring the tribal colleges and some of these other partners like AFL-CIO. So the Stonechild College, AFL-CIO, I believe is putting up to $1 million into their college to create this MC3 curriculum. And 3 affiliated tribes is already doing it. So how do we start to look at showing our kids that there's another direction that you can take, and it's an awesome direction. You know, Job Corps down in Anaconda and Darby, they'll bring a bus up, pick kids up and take them down there. There's 180 bed in Anaconda, and they can take a 3-month training certificate or a month certificate and come out with a job. They will find them a job. And so like, you start to think about all these things. And, you know, of course, we always say, go to college, get those degrees. But a lot of our kids, if you look at the data, aren't there just yet. So for them to come out of a training program or certification program with no debt, making 40, 50 an hour. You got outside linemen, the electricians making 120 to 130 an hour. You have different kind of programs like the broadband, where they're going to be laying fiber, and every tribe is part of that. And you could make, what a guy told me, $20,000 a month laying fiber. I mean, that's insane. And they said that the best fiber workers, because it's glass, is our beaters, because they have great hand-eye coordination. That was at this other event I was at. So I just really take a lot in. Entrepreneurship is another thing. We're working with commerce. We have youth with fashion design, with music, with all kinds of things that the outside world is very interested in now. And so I've seen more movement of our youth being themselves and sharing that than anything. So entrepreneurship's a big piece of a lot of this. Our tribal Airbnbs, you know, you got a lot of that happening. I know you probably have that around here, but I just think of my friend, Toby Work over in Hayes Lodgepole. He got a old house fixed up, and he can make 10 grand in a week because people want to come out and ride horses and look at antelope. And so like, it's wild. So then they'll say, well, what can we do culturally? Can we do, you know, raise teepees, show people how to live that life, start to share. We've had discussions in apprenticeship about creating a guide school in the Blackfeet language and land-based knowledge, where people come in and we show the reciprocal way of how we thought in working with the land. And so that can, I mean, there's just, sky's the limit, I guess, is where I'm getting. So I already did that one. Oh, am I going backwards? So again, there's job service. I started to learn about our unemployment offices, and unemployment offices has the tribes back. And I didn't know a lot of that. I didn't know where jurisdiction fit in, but we had a meeting with the Fort Peck Tarot director, and they have a lot of outsiders come in and they undercut our tribal people. Tarot will say you have to have 25% of your hiring through tribes. This was his example, and pay them at a prevailing wage level, which is usually $5 to $10 more. And what they do is they undercut and pay them at a lower level, or they just get them holding a flag. So the unemployment groups and the different programs like the employment offices can come in and support the tribes in that manner if that happens. There's different programs for unemployment. There's dislocated employment services that if a unemployed individual wants to get training, there's funding for that as well. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I'm learning a lot with all this. Of course, we have AmeriCorps, which I love. And there's different programs, this engagement team that I think SKC has a child care licensing program. So what I'm trying to look at doing is meeting with the tribal college presidents, sharing what each tribe is doing, and kind of being a hub of support. There's all kinds of stuff around there. There's a welder program in Great Falls College that they're bringing students from Rocky Boy. They're getting them a hotel at a low rate. They're covering their costs, and they're coming out welders. You know, they had 12 welders trained, and they had jobs in a week. And so Stone Child is looking to bring that program into their college now. They're going to try this MC3 program next fall. So like there's a lot. And I know you guys have some of this at SKC as well. And Where I think the missing piece is our kids may not know that this stuff is even out there. So in Indian education, we would do these poster series and highlight our highly educated young people and leaders in Indian country around education. I think I might propose the same type model and identify, you know, our solid tradesmen and labor and apprenticeships or entrepreneurs and get a poster series going to start to open up this whole other world as well. Because again, our kids need something that they can grab onto. Jobs for Montana Grads is also inside of our program of DLI. That's a soft skills and training program. They connect kids right into business and leadership and different things like that. So if you all are interested, and I'll probably reach out to the districts, maybe getting that program involved in the schools is a direct link to some of this stuff. Here's all the players that I found. I want to talk about this a little bit. Of course, we have the Headwaters Tech Hub that's coming, and there's going to be a lot of jobs. We also have broadband expansion. You guys, you probably have the BEAD program, and then there's also a federal program. What I found out here is they have these tribal boot camps. There's going to be one in Fort Belknap in the next couple weeks. And then they have other kind of trainings that are going on that are absolutely free to tribes. And so like plugging it into the colleges or even the schools. I went and visited Two Eagle earlier this morning, and there's just tons of opportunities that's tied to broadband. And then also at the tribal level, I work with the Department of Commerce. The tribes, and you all probably understand this more than me, the tribes have to sign off on anyone coming in to do this broadband work. And President Weatherall from Northern Cheyenne was talking about potentially writing an RFP. So these outside entities that are going to come and do the work follow the RFP, and the tribe has the ability to say, well, we like this one, but we want you to train 100 of our people before you leave. You know, so there's a lot of power in the tribes, and I've met some solid people. One of them was like a hero to mine, and he's out of Fort Peck in Poplar. He runs the tribal boot camps. And so we're looking at ways if DLI can, you know, cover the costs or split the costs and get those out to every tribe in the state. Digital Navigators is another program that he's a part of. Digital Navigators is a training program that can be run through a school or a college, and it creates youth to go out to community houses to wire elders or help them with their computers. And it's like a little kind of like Geek Squad. You guys know what Geek Squad is, but training youth to go out and help. And I met 3 youth that are doing that. And so plug those into the Rise Youth Leadership Group that I used to run. But that's another program that we can link up to the tribes. There's this Calix trainings, this Oklahoma University. It's all free. It's all online to tribes. So I'm kind of giving you a lot of information. This, I couldn't believe some of the things that Job Corps provides. I think I was speaking to someone, I'm not sure who it was here, but hospitality training is needed, especially because you get a lot of tourism. Was that? Yeah, so where your students maybe know a little bit of history about the tribal nations here, and you know, they're sitting at the restaurant, being a waiter or waitress, and you can share these things. And so there's free hospitality training that DLI offers. You know, there's all these things that are free. So this is kind of the to-do list. Of course, we're in conversations with the tribal colleges. Each one is in a different place. But can they start to maybe emphasize some of these things a little bit more? If they have it already, can we help in any way? I was asked to look into the potential so that this big conference here is the National Tribal Telecommunications Association. So I met with groups from SAI, which is the Blackfeet. They run their own ISP. They were wondering if we could help kind of house a Montana Tribal Telecommunications Association. and bring all of the tribes so they can share their experiences, or you can, you know, say who's doing good, who's not doing good. Because there is a lot of entities swimming around Indian country because there's billions of dollars there. And some are even from Indian country and taking advantage of the situation. So I think when I went to this, it was mainly to find out, how do we build a stronger workforce? How do we build capacity in our tribes so those people come in, train us, and then they leave and we're good? So that's some of these things I'm doing here. We are looking to, I have to write some things up to get that Taro advisory group going. We will be doing, I had a meeting with the Taro departments yesterday, and I'm gonna do a training June 6th and 7th, potentially in Helena, and just bring any of the economic development or Taro directors in to sit with our DLI folks and tell each other what they do, what they need, what they want, because there is a lack of communication. And so that's going to be kind of interesting, like those prevailing wages, unemployment support, what services are there. We're also going to create, I think, the first time in 20 or 30 years, a new job service office in Northern Cheyenne at Lame Deer. We've been working with the tribal council down there, and they're going to put it right in their chamber or their main building, because before they had to go to Miles City or to Billings. And so this will handle the Crow and the Cheyenne, and they'll have folks there that are from the community. And there's just a lot of things that you sit and think, well, that's common sense, but it hasn't been done yet. So I think the more we communicate, the better it's going to be. This is a job for Montana grads program. They do a lot of the soft skills. They do career training and development. You can see everything they do. But we recently received a grant to get this out to Indian country more. And so that'll be coming. And so I might call upon your districts and you guys if you'd like to be a part of that. So here's where I'm at right now in my position. I'm meeting with the different tribes, and I thank you very much for you're the first tribe that called. I have a couple others lined up, but my boss is Commissioner Swanson. She was asking me things that I hadn't heard too often from folks within the state government, and I'm state government, but I also know that some of them don't understand the sovereignty and the level of our tribes, that we're a nation. We're a nation just like France. And so she's one of the first that I said, if you want to really start to make a difference in Indian country, let's go out there and let's start to meet. And so like next time she would love to come out here and meet. And she's very intelligent. She's from the Highline. But I've never had somebody support me so much. And she's willing to try different things. So we're doing these different kind of things and having a good time with just the opportunities that we're finding. But that's basically the quick overview of some of the work that's happening at Department of Labor and Industry. We also have the Tech Hub, and I think they will kind of cover that. Within the Tech Hub, we have the SWIB, which is any tribe or any tribal college will be able to write a grant. There'll be about 5 to 8 million, I believe, that they can write a grant to help support their efforts of workforce development. And we did that because a lot of the university systems have 50 people writing grants, and our tribal colleges might have 1 or 2. So it's to give our tribal nations first run at these things. And if they got different programs that they want to bring in, we're starting to build up the kind of the resources. So that's my presentation. Is there any questions or comments?
Go ahead, James.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, Donnie, good to see you.
Yes.
And I remember your phone ringing and like, who's that theme song for? Oh, that's the boss. Long time ago.
Yep.
But thank you, Donnie, for the information. Appreciate it. And I think I noticed with Taro, different tribes do different levels of I guess enforcement. Some are more aggressive at it. Anything that comes across the res boundary, boom, you gotta go through Taro, put up signs all over the res. And some tribes aren't as aggressive about it, and it seemed like we're kind of in the middle somewhere. We're not as, bam, right on the edge of the reservation, there's a sign, all Taro issues handled by the tribes. And I was gonna ask on that question, on that comment, what has been your observation in terms of Taro? What have you learned in these conferences in terms of where the different tribes are, and in that effort to kind of get the state folks up to speed? I imagine there's things that tribes learned. What were some of your observations in that effort?
Yeah, each Taro is different. Like each tribe is different. Some are pretty aggressive, some aren't. We finally got Blackfeet on yesterday. They have a pretty good Taro department, but like I think where, you know, they have different ideas. Like Chippewa Cree is pretty intense. They want to. So what has happened is any tribe that's been in these discussions are now meeting people within the state. So Chippewa Cree Taro officers came down and met with the employment office, and they were talking about certification, because I guess there's tribal certification and there's state certification for everything, from barbers to, you know, funeral directors. And so they came straight down and met with them and blew that guy's socks off because he wasn't ready. And I said, well, get ready because the tribes are going to come and each one's going to be different. So it just depends on where they're at. I know over in Fort Peck, they're pretty, well, it's way out there. So they have some struggles at times, and they're in a completely different place. They will say that jobs aren't the problem, it's the workforce. We can't get our people to put in and apply. And so I think where I'm at is if there's good things going, and this can be hit and miss, can the tribal Taro departments talk more? And they do, they already talk more. But I think it's understanding what all these other things that are offered there. But it's up to them. You know, I think that Chippewa Cree is now thinking of putting Taro regulations on people that attend their powwow, which they've never done before. They do on like Dick Anderson construction, and that pays for most of their stuff. So, and I don't know enough about Taro myself, but like Blackfeet has their water, there's a water thing coming, and then the St. Mary's Dam, so they're pushing and trying to build a workforce. But I understand that there's a lot of power in the Taro. And I did meet with Velda Shelby as well, because some tribes have economic development branches. But yeah, it just depends. And I think, you know, the more we communicate and share these things, because Blackfeet shared a lot of things that others didn't know about. So maybe we could learn a little bit from each other and see where the state can fit in.
Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions. How is, if somebody wants to go to like be a beautician or a barber or a lineman or a mechanic, how is that paid for? Can they get traditional financial aid? And one thing I don't currently know is how our own tribal ed funds those things. Because I would think they would fund them equally as they would fund if you're going to get a college degree. Because some of these jobs, like welding, the welders I know make $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
I know 2 welders and that's what they make. And that's more than I made as an English teacher with a master's degree. A lot more. And so, yeah, how is that funded? How do they get funding for that?
So there's a lot that I'm learning. So like to get a CDL, I understand that could be up to $8,000 for someone to go get a CDL. So one of the tribes split the cost with a company that provides CDLs out of Spokane, and it costs $2,000. So there's different kind of things like that. And on the topic of CDL, I always have a youth in the room. the youth said that in my school on the reservation, they don't even have driver's ed. So that created a whole other conversation that, you know, are we cart before the horse here? Do we need to start looking at driver's ed? I don't know what programs you guys have here, but there's nothing hardly anywhere.
Yeah, that is a big issue here. I know Tweagle, they don't have a driver's ed program. They have a hard time getting an instructor. And when I worked in our tribe's economic development, we set up an adult driver's ed program at SKC because there are a lot of adults who needed driver's ed.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised at the amount of interest it had, but again, getting an instructor was a challenge. And there's certain legal requirements that you have to meet to be a driver's ed teacher. You have to, you can't miss classes. So,
Yeah. But on the other stuff, and I don't know enough, but it seems like there's a lot of funding. So like AFL-CIO at a union level, they use their like union fees, their union dues, and they will pay everything. And they will send an individual out and get trained, and then they come back. And then I don't know enough about how that works, but if there's a job that dries up here, the union will find them another job. And like what many do is they'll go and spend time a month at one place, come home and make 10 grand or, you know, so like Job Corps, I don't understand how that is funded, but they said that that's open to any students of interest. They have 180 beds.
yeah.
And so I think it just depends. I know there's funding that has to be exchanged. But what I'm also finding is there's a lot of people that need the trades to start to beef up more, and they're offering to pay for everything. And I could dig a little bit deeper on how that all plays and maybe make like an Excel on
Yeah.
costs in different areas.
Because I think that would be really helpful to families and to individuals looking to get retrained or looking to go to something. That would probably be the most daunting part. Well, yeah, I would like to go to lineman school, or I would like to go be a barber, but how am I going to pay for that? Like most people around here do not come from families that can just write them a check for their tuition. Okay, son, you want to go to the school that costs $20,000? Here's the check.
Yeah.
They have to come up with it themselves. And my other question is, what kind of retraining opportunities are there or certification programs in our state prison system? Or are there any? So if somebody goes to prison, can they come out as a certified barber or some other job that they can do? Because it's hard for a person with a felony to get hired. So are they retraining? Are they giving them training so they come out with a job they can actually do so they don't go back to a life of crime?
Yep. I understand that like Job Corps, they don't look at any of that. And there is this lady I met that's doing a reentry program and looking at, again, what's next for a person coming out of that. And I think at the federal level, they might look at felonies. That's AFL-CIO. But I'm not too sure, but I know that they're way more open than I thought they would be. But I'll get that information to you.
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is, does Montana State Prison and Deer Lodge and the Women's Prison in Billings, do they provide training? Do they provide vocational training for people so they have a trade when they get out?
So they're doing it inside?
Yeah.
I can look into that. I don't think they do though.
Yeah, I think they should. And I just wanted to bring this up too. When I lived in Arizona, I got my hair cut, and before this lady touched my hair, I said, "Wait a minute, how old are you?" And she looked like she was about 15. I thought, "Are you even a real hair cutter?" And she said, "Yes." She's like, "I'm 18." But she said, "I went to a vocational high school. So when I graduated, I got my high school, it wasn't Job Corps, it was actually a high school." She said, "I got my high school diploma and I was certified as a beautician." So she said, "I make more money than most people my age or most people of any age."
Yeah.
And I thought, that is so cool. And she said her high school had like, I don't know, 4 different vocational tracks that you could do while you were getting your high school diploma. She said she had no intention of going to college. She just wanted to make money. And so her high school equipped her with that. So I think there's other models in other places that
Oh,
would
yeah.
be worth looking at.
I know that Butte High does that. I think they have some things, so. I went and visited Two Eagle River and they said they have a building that they've been wanting to bring it back to like a VOTEC or VOAG type of an area. So yeah, I think that, I mean, sky's the limit, I believe in some of these things, so just however far we want to take it.
There are quite a few schools that are participating in letting their juniors and seniors go out and work for a couple hours a day and counting it even toward graduation
Yeah,
in all kinds of jobs.
dual enrollment and dual credit, that's where like some of the colleges are doing some of that stuff.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. And once again, Donnie, thank you for the presentation. I was really inspired by your presentation and Billings, the information you provided there also. And I think I think the tribes have an extremely powerful advantage having you as our tribal liaison in the Department of Labor, because this is the first that we've had this in the Department of Labor. You know, one of the many reasons I reached out to you is we've been having discussions amongst ourselves about how we are going to create a workforce, because it's been a challenge in every community, right? Just trying to get workers. We were wanting to look at having different entities such as Department of Labor working with our college and developing certification and training programs for electricians, plumbers, welders, et cetera, so we can get our own workforce ready. As you are probably aware, our water compact has recently been settled. We will be accessing our water compact funds, a little over $1 billion, which is going to be creating hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs here just in our community. And we want to keep it local. We want to keep that for our own people. And so I think it's imperative that we work with you and SKC and even our personnel office to try to find resources to get these kind of training programs going. So we get our young people, because, you know, you're absolutely right. We have a lot of young people that are from broken homes and are having difficulties finishing high school, going into college. And if we can create programs where we can just get them trained and get them right into the workforce, I mean, I think that would be something that would be a great benefit to our people. So once again, thank you for the information today. Thank you for taking the time to come and visit with us today. It is greatly appreciated, and we look forward to working with you. We really do, and congratulations on that position. That, like I said, that is powerful for us, for the Montana tribes, to have you in that position. So thank you.
Thank you very much on that.
Other question? Go ahead, Jen.
So is that something you could put forward on your end? Like, because we're, you know, if we expand, like just for example, if we expand our tribal jail, right now it's at capacity and there's no room to provide vocational training for people in jail so they have a good job to go to when they get out. Could there be money, especially set aside for tribes, because we have the highest rates of incarceration and the highest rates of unemployment in Montana. And so, you know, I would hope that someday we expand our jail, not to put more people in jail, but to offer some of those kinds of services so we can save people.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, there is a grant that's out there, and I think if there's one, then why can't we team up? Like, we've had some tribal members say, can we join DLI and write a grant together and specifically go to whatever situation we're dealing with? And so, yeah, I always say, let's just do it, you know, and figure out a way somehow to get it done. And so, yeah, I got the notes down and I'll look into that other grant too.
James?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I appreciate Donnie working in the state because you know both sides of the fence, you know, the struggles tribes have with the state. No matter if it's a Democrat president, you remember when, God, I was so pissed at Schweitzer, you were in that meeting
Oh, yeah.
in Helena. I was so pissed. Man, I mean, so you've seen it, you know how the tribes have dealt and been dealt with by the state. So it's really good to have you in there to be able to call BS out on inappropriate circumstances with state folks. I know you'll do that and have done that. I don't have to be there. I just know your personality and seeing you in action. You're not afraid to say, hey, no, that's not the way it is with the tribe. So you're in a good spot, and I appreciate you being in that spot. It gives me more comfort that there's somebody there of your caliber working there that knows what the tribal community struggle with, particularly our young people. And then I imagine in your job, it's like a continual education program. And it is with any Indian person. Yes, Indians pay taxes. Yes, we don't get free checks from the government, that kind of thing. So, but anyway, thank you, Donnie.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Steele.
Any questions from the college folks? Well, thank you, Donnie. Looks
Well,
like,
I'd,
go ahead.
kind of take that hat off and I wanted to, do something that I wasn't able to do a few months ago. But, Dr. Joe McDonald is a legend and a hero to me. And my other hat is I run the Montana Indian Athletic Hall of Fame. And I was, he was inducted in '08. And, I know the man's history. He was good friends with my uncle Earl Barlow, my father. And what he's done, not only in education, but in athletics, was he laid the foundation. So I understand, Chairman McDonald's gone, but I wanted to gift this out to the family that's here and have Teresa and Tracy come up and just give them his plaque from the Hall of Fame.
Some pictures, who's taking the pictures?
That's awesome.
So, guys, you know how I feel about
I do.
honor for everything. There's the flag. He was an all around.
You want to go down and get
He
it?
was in coaching as well.
They'll wait for you. They'll wait for you.
gotta pass it around.
Just, no, stay there a second. Stay there a second, Tracy.
Okay, picture. Okay, Heather. No, put me in the middle.
You're in the middle.
Make me look tall. I stand next to Connie, I'm not tall. I'm gonna stand really tall. Really tall. Can you see the flag?
Yeah, got the flag. I've got a good one in there.
Okay, we'll pass it around.
Wonderful.
So Dad and Donna's dad are very, very close friends. Donnie's dad, University of Louisville, he was the first NCAA athlete. Back in,
Oh, that's interesting.
Don West. And so then he came back and County. And he and Dad were very athletic. All
Oh, that's cool.
valued each other's athletes, like. Donnie grew up also played at. But, Donnie Junior and his dad started. And it was just amazing. And you get on the thing. Don't get addicted, not stop. Every day there's athletes from rodeo to wrestling, basketball, you name it. All this is youth, college stuff, and you get so excited when you. But, Dad was in that.
Well, thank you, Donnie. And Donnie. Earl was my principal at one time. Hey, Rick.
Good afternoon. I have a couple of things. That, yeah, the first one, probably both of them. Um, uh, we, we had a guest at, I think it was the July, quarterly last year. BD Erickson, no, yep, that one. Who, okay, thanks. Who owns a solar company in Missoula, and he came and said, "Hey, we do a lot of stuff around here, but we're from here. We want to help the CSKT community." And we started having some conversations. Long story short, I'd like to turn it over to BD and Art Kai to talk about some of the things that they have and a couple proposals that they have for council to consider. I guess the last thing I would say before I invite them up is we've done a lot of different kinds of investigation of how to take advantage of the solar funding and all of the green energy work or money funding and incentives that are coming down from the federal government. And one of the things that has been a little bit of a challenge has been getting that to be more than just green energy and have it be something that could be an opportunity for tribal members to learn about the industry, gain skills. And one of the things that I've appreciated about the conversations with BD is that has been a part of every conversation we've had. You've probably all seen a little van driving around that's blue and white. And that's because Art is engaged with the company, and they seem very committed to backing up those words. So with that being said, I'd like to invite BD and Art up to present a few different things to council.
Afternoon, BD, Art.
be fun, you guys. We're not gonna bore you to tears.
I'll give them a few minutes to go ahead and look at what they're looking at up there.
So I'll explain these when we have opportunity, guys, so that you know what we're looking at. Why don't you just go ahead and set it up, Art, and then I'll explain what we're looking at. So it's one thing, you guys, I know, to talk about, going green. It's so easy to talk about it that I just did it. It's so easy to talk about, saving money or training somebody or creating a job or having an impact either on the environment, on your personal heart or your personal finances. But the actual leap from having that discussion to actually taking action is one of the things that separates, people that have or have not or do not. And we come in here for a year because we care about this. And I'm telling you, if I didn't care, I'd have already given up a long time ago. But the reality is at SNK Technologies, we make an energy saver, you guys. Making it for 12 years, got over 100,000 installed. If you plug this in, it makes your power bill go down. It's been proven beyond any intelligent contestation that they save money. And yet here we are, we're suffering. We don't have enough money to pay our bills. We plug 2 of these into small homes or 4 into medium-sized homes. It's going to save everybody about 25 or 30% on their bill. Now it might only be $40. It might not be a ton of money. It's a tank of gas. Sure is. It's a small trip to the grocery store. And if you invest in them today, then at some point they've earned themselves back. They've paid their own way. You've recouped the cost of that piece of equipment. Your family is healthier because dirty electricity and electromagnetic fields are damaging to the biological. We know this is true. The grass isn't bushier under power lines. It's bushy less. You don't have to be an engineer to know that this is the truth. When you filter and clean the dirty electricity, some things happen. Sometimes your phone charges slow and hot. We've all experienced it. You don't need to be an engineer to know in your mind in that moment something's wrong, something's not happening. Ideally, it's wasteful. With a system like this, your phone charges cool and fast. Back to your fridge is cool and it's going to last longer. Your light bulbs last for years. So all over the country, we sell these little home efficiency kits. They're very simple. They're humble. They're either 2 or 4 of these plug-in units that you sprinkle throughout your home and a set of light bulbs that are so efficient on some meters, you can't even read it. Doesn't mean it takes no electricity. Of course it takes some, but it's such a small amount that unless it's a very sensitive piece of equipment, you can't even read it. They're cool to the touch. What do light bulbs do? They burn out. They get hot and they fail. We have these light bulbs that have been on for 8 years. We sell them all over the country and yet they're made in Western Montana and our people here aren't sharing them. So what we propose to council today is maybe 300 home energy efficiency kits. We're talking about $150,000. Sounds like a lot of money. A couple of things on that. Number one, since we make them in SNK, you're kind of buying them from yourself. Number two, you get that money back. I mean, if you take 300 families and we're saving something humble like $400 a month, you're talking about $1,200 a month. It'll be very short time before we recapture the cost in health, cost in feeling loved and feeling cared for, cost in equipment lasting longer, and light bulbs that people aren't probably going to replace for a decade. Well, they're made in Missoula, Montana, but the main component set comes from SNK Electronics. I said technology, I misspoke. It's SNK Electronics in Pablo. And we've had a contract with you guys. We've done millions of dollars with you guys in business over the last decade. So not everything is made. There's soup to nuts. I don't want to misspeak, but the main component set, the sonic welding and the selective soldering is all done at SNK. And you guys have been great for us. We've had excellent, we have UL listings and all the things, again, shipping them all over the world, made right here. And I have to tell you, it makes me ache a little bit when people all over the country benefit from something that we make right here and we don't benefit ourselves. I think it's time to change that. It's not a lot of money. It's not a huge ask. It's something that we have, for the most part, in inventory and can make and deliver in rapid fashion. And this is not something that you have to wait to see if it works. This is something you're going to see on your next bill. I mean, if we can get these in families' hands right now, you guys, they're going to see them on their next bill. And right now, we know, we talk to pawnbrokers and people like that in the local and the community that talk to people every day. They're dying for $10, man. They're hurting. And the idea that you could supply everybody with an extra tank of gas or another small load of groceries, is going to impact everybody, especially when you guys help pay the bill. It's almost like double dipping. It's almost like too good. The family benefits because they're going to save the money. You're benefited because you help them pay the bill. And I buy them from you. So, I mean, I don't mean to make light. It really makes logical, fundamental sense. So I really like you guys to consider that home efficiency kits as we sell all over the country. Let's do 3 home efficiency kits here for families. Let's get them saving money. We can do it immediately. Get them plugged in and saving. That's number 1. Number 2, we've been talking about some solar projects. There's more money right now in the federal government available to do solar than in any time in history. Will that go up or down? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Right now, today, it's the best it's ever been. Right now, if we use American panels and components, which we do anyway, whatever we spend on the project, you guys get 40% of it back in cash, not in a credit, in cash. This allows us to do a couple of things. We're doing a big array down the road right now, and it's 96 feet long. It's beautiful. It's something to look at. It's something that grabs the eye. So our proposal is not to do something huge and grandiose that takes a long time to think about, something in the $70,000 or $80,000 range that we could do immediately, that we could do today. I have 2 proposals in here, you guys. One is to put them on this southern east building where everybody coming up and down 93 can see what we've done. They can see that we don't talk about green energy. We use green energy. We don't talk about being renewable, that we are. And I propose that you allow me to bid $10,000 into the project. And out of that, I train us a workforce. I find us a few young people here that want to learn about solar energy. And I spend that paying them. And they're going to slow me down because it's a lot easier to just get my boys up there and rock and roll. We'd have this done in 2 days. But I said, instead, let's take our time. Let's get some able-bodied people up there. Let's pump this money back in the community and let's teach these guys how to do solar. Because a lot of money is coming your way with solar and you're going to do it. It's the future. It's coming. You guys are going to do it. When are you going to start? Let's start now. And are you always going to have the guy from Missoula come up and do it for you? I'm happy to. Why don't we train your guys to do it? Give me some men. Give me some young women. Give me some people. Let's teach them how to do it. It'll be fun. Everybody will see it. We just did one of your neighbors, Phil Shroud. We just did one for him. It's 96 feet long. It was so beautiful. We did it in 2 days. He couldn't believe it. And I've got pictures. It's 96 feet long. It's gorgeous. Everyone can see it. Take pride in it. Hey, who built that? We did. We did. We built it. SNK, we built it. And then going forward, as you want to do more and more projects, allow me to train these guys. Let's get them trained up. So pretty soon you don't need us. What are we always talking about? Going green and being sovereign. How do you do that? You got to have people that can do it. Well, I train them all over the country. It's what I do. So in solar, the training system that we have, it's a weird name. It's called NABCEP, NABCEP. Don't ask me, I didn't invent it. That's the criterion. That's the coaching. The NABCEP Training Center for all of Western Montana is my office. It's my building. The people that go through that training, and it's rather expensive, come out of that incredibly employable. The solar industry is the fastest growing sector in America, period, bar none. It's the biggest employer. It has the most money. It's the most imports, the most export. It checks the boxes. Someone coming out of that program is incredibly employable. And I'm not talking about employable at $15 an hour minimum wage. No, that's cute. This is a living wage. This is a wage where a person can have this job and his family gets to stay home. This is a living wage that we're talking about. This is a $30 to $50 an hour job that you can have and build a life on. Now, we won't accomplish that in a week. We won't, but we'll start. We'll get it going. We'll see who's who. We'll see who wants to participate. We'll see who wants to play, who wants to be in the program, who wants to learn. And out of this, what will come for $70,000 or $80,000, you guys, it's not a big ask. We will have an absolutely beautiful solar array out here where everybody can see it. We'll have a workforce in green shirts, and I'm going to make you guys the most awesome video that you've ever seen, because what I do, Missoula, for our high net worth customers, we fly our drones over, and we got the guys in the green shirts, and we do a storyboard of the bare roof or the bare dirt, and then you see the guys out buzzing around. The trucks pull up in Art's van, and you'll have all the vans. We'll get all the vans out here in the trucks and the workforce in the green shirts. You'll see the native persons, and we'll build it. And in a week or 10 days, we'll have this beautiful monument to renewable energy, to sovereignty, that'll stand for 100 years. We're going to guarantee it for 25 years. Everyone will see it. And then we'll say, now who else wants to participate? Who else wants to join? Let's go. Let's build a team. And I can get you guys, I believe it in my heart of hearts, I'll either do it or I'll die trying. I don't know why that chokes me up. We'll get you a team of people where you don't need us. It's not that hard. And everything that I went to college for, I never got to be in college. Everything I learned in college, there's an app for it. An 8-year-old with good thumbs. By golly, he can do it. So let's do it. Let's teach him how to do it. And out of this, it's my dream that my part of my role in our little community is that you guys get the money from the feds to build solar and you do it. You don't need anybody. You do it. And you're proud of it. And you have a living wage and you have a working job. And as that comes, every single house and every single building and every single office and store in this community will have solar one day. Who's going to do it? Why don't you do it? That's my presentation. If you hire me, I'll do a good job. So.
Anybody have questions for BD?
I have a few words I gotta say.
Go ahead.
I've known BD for about a year or so. I got hooked up with them. And I've been working with them and, I think that, what he does, I think it's the future. I really do. It's the future. And I think that, I think the tribe, should really get into this and do this. It will benefit everybody. I was down there talking with Dan Depot earlier today. Like I says, I run 4 of these in my house. And I save over $101 a month. Crazy. And I was talking with Dan earlier, and he's telling me that people are coming in there begging for $10. That's how poor the people are out there right now. He says, if you could save them $20, he says, you guys would be heroes. That's how bad it's getting out there. Like BD says, SK Electronics makes these right here. You guys make these. Everybody has them throughout the whole world, but us. So I think we really need to do this. I think it's going to benefit you guys and it's going to benefit the whole tribe. I say within 5-10 years, we'll have this whole valley on it. It's the future and the tribe needs to be in it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. So in this proposal, not to be chatty, and feel free to cut me off at any time, we kind of had 2 ideas. One would be to put it on the roof down here where everyone could see it on 93. Rickon also said that one of the needs you guys have might be for some covered parking. Is that true? I don't know. But if you had a need for some covered parking, then instead of putting it on a roof, if you'll see on page 5 or 6, we could put it in the parking lot and we could turn it into a covered parking structure. So it's kind of 2 birds with 1 stone. If that's something that you guys needed, then we're happy to do that as well. It's a little bit more expensive, but you get a dual purpose out of it, And the reason that we picked this size is right now, Mission Valley Power, they're a little bit behind the times, you guys. In Missoula, well, almost anywhere, you speak more candidly, almost anywhere, if you need X amount of solar panels, you can get X amount of solar panels. With MVP right now, they'll tell you how many you can have. And unfortunately, it's not a very big number. So commercially, it's 20 kilowatt hours. So what's that mean? Well, talking to a layperson, you might say, well, I need 10 panels or 20 panels. That kind of naturally comes to mind. But the way the power company does it, they do it by kilowatt hours. So each panel, for example, has 400 kilowatt hours. So if you have 202 panels, times 400 be 800 kilowatt hours. That's the way they do the math. Well, they only allow 20,000 kilowatt hours for a place like this. You guys could use a lot more than that, but that's what they allow. So I didn't push the limits or push the boundaries on anything that would take us more time with Beg and Camel or those guys or going through more. It's always hard when you have to go through some hoops anyway. This is what they allow. This is something that, we could permit, we could install, we could put on their grid. It's UL listed. We're certified and bonded and all the things, and we wouldn't have any pushback from the local utilities. And if you look at the 2 arrays, one's in the parking lot, if you turn a couple more pages, you can see the skyward view where we have two sets of panels. It's 2 rows of 3. Now, the reason that we placed them there, you guys, is because we want everybody coming down the highway to see these. We want everybody coming down the highway to say, holy moly, look what they've done. And I want you to know that has more power than you understand. A guy called from Bitterroot Brewery and he said, hey, I don't know if my solar panel system's working. And I said, well, did I do it? He said, no, that's why I'm calling you, because I don't know if it's working. So I jumped in my car on a, you know, I larked to be a good guy and went down there, and sure enough, it wasn't even turned on, poor bugger. But when he and I had a good laugh about that, he said, you know, BD, I'll tell you the truth. While I'm disappointed that I missed out on the money that it made, so many people talk about it. So many people see it. So many people say, I love that you're community involved. I love that you care about the earth. I love that you're a good custodian of our planet. He said, I probably got more goodwill and free press off that thing, even if it wasn't turned on, than I made on the electricity. So I don't mean to be repetitive. Nobody enjoys that, but this is something that people are going to see, and they're going to see it, and they're going to take note in it, and they're going to take pride. And right now, everybody on the planet, I think, could use a shot in the arm. Everybody could use something to cheer around, a team to be on, something to feel good about, to get a win and have some pride. And solar electricity, as Art says, it is the future. It's coming. The system will be guaranteed for 25 years. It will pay for itself in years, and it will pay in dividends, not just in money, but in hearts, truly.
Comment, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if council noticed, I seen in the news the other day, MSN, you know, a coalition of 14 tribes received $135 million for solar energy, part of the Biden administration. As I look, it says the EPA announced $7 billion in solar for all grants yesterday. And this was the date of this article. It was 2 days ago. So, and then there's 14 tribes that are part of this coalition, and the tribes in Montana that are named are Blackfeet, Northern Cheyenne, Chippewa Cree, well, Northern Arapaho is Wyoming, but kind of in our Rocky Mountain Tribal Leaders area. But I'm just kind of wondering if we're too late again on that, but this would definitely help with what we're discussing here. So I just happened to see that in the news a couple days ago. 14 tribes plan to use the Biden administration solar grants. Trump never did that, but won't go down that path.
So almost the last page, it's got pricing. The one on the roof is a 24 kilowatt hour system. Now I said 20, why 24? Because the way they do the badging, the way they want to see it, we can sneak in a little bit more at 24K, that's $60,000. You guys get, if you look at the blue number down on the right, you get 24,825 of that back. And that's only, I figured it at 30% if we use Asian stuff, that's cash. So if we use American panels, you're going to get 30,000 almost of your 60 back in cash. This is not a big ask, you guys. This is not, we're not talking about some huge amount of money, 60 grand, you get 30 back. You know, that's not a big thing. And what we need to do is show them that we know what we're talking about, and it's my hallucination. And I've been wrong before, but I'm a lot of fun. It's my hallucination that we show people that we're leading the way, that we're not talking about it, we're doing it. We will be able to get more grant money than they'll be able to throw at us, because how many people get it and never do nothing with it and send it back? What about when we tell them we're already doing it? We're already there. Give us the money. We're building a crew. Why would we not lead the way? And one of the things I forgot about when I started, I rabbit trail, build an incredible video. And I thought about having a beautiful native person say, you know, Confederate Salish and Kootenai leading the way in renewable energy, learning the way in going solar, leading the way in workforce, leading the way in, you know, sovereignty and having a workforce that could do this. We could take this video to every tribe. What if our tribe went and taught the other tribes? Come on, you guys, this could be so cool. And it's $60,000. This is not something that's a lot of money. It's not something that's a long way away. It's not something that'd be super hard. If you guys say, yeah, and write the check, we'll have trucks up here. The first thing we'll do is start reaching out to the community. Who wants to play? Who wants to participate? Who wants to make 25 bucks an hour learning something cool? It's my guess that people want to do it, man. And we'll have them out here and we'll put them in shirts. And people love shirts and hats. They love to be on a team. They do. They love to belong. And we get this thing up, before you know it, it'll be up. It'll be making power. And then the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit as far as you want to go. If we want to keep it legal or local, if we want to take it to other tribes in our area, if we want it, there's a lot of interest in the Panhandle up by, what's that beautiful lake, Pend Oreille. We've just gotten so much interest, you guys, and being repetitive. It needs to start right here. I'm not from there. I'm from Missoula, Montana. It needs to start here. So I know I keep rattling on.
Questions? Thoughts? Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you for coming in. This is a lot of food for thought. And I appreciate all the materials that you brought. So I just need some time to look through them and to think about it. But I think it sounds like a really cool thing. And I really love the idea of solar. And I know what James is saying. I think as a tribe, we need to be more aggressive about putting more solar, doing more solar projects and finding the money to do that. Now is the right time to do it. So, I mean, for me anyway, I'm definitely gonna go through the things that you provided and look at them, and it just sounds, I think it's the wave of the future. So, and I love your idea about training local people too. I think that is very generous and a really good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Rick.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Along the lines of food for thought, one of the things that's appealing to me, not the solar component, but these plug-in boxes. There's been a lot of discussion about MVP, power bills, and how can we provide assistance. And the thing that's appealing for me with something that is an ongoing saver is that it's an ongoing saver and not a one-time payment of a bill, but the next month might be kind of, the energy bills are rising. And if we can save continually, it might not feel the same right now, but it's going to feel a lot better over the long term. So this seemed like a potentially good option to consider when it came to the question of what would council be interested in doing to support the tribal member households that are part of MVP. So that's one piece of food for thought. The other is we haven't missed the boat. There are additional rounds of funding. We've applied and not been awarded on a couple different, one through BIA, and then the Solar for All one. I know Housing submitted a proposal, and sounds like they didn't win. But I know there's more money coming, and I think it would go a long way to say we already have workforce development kind of in the works, or we already have some trained staff, because all of the opportunities I've seen, there's more points for workforce development activities, and we've had to say we're going to develop as part of a project, and it'd be nice to say we have something. I think it would help us.
So I know that firsthand. So I've probably got 20 grant applications in right now. I mean, we do grant applications all the time. I'm a solar guy. It's part of it. Here's one of the challenges. If someone's going to give you money, are you going to do the right thing with it? Are you emotionally, mentally, physically capable of doing what you're supposed to do with the money? It's always hardest the first time because you have no experience. You haven't done it before. They're hoping that you can figure it out. If we started with a system like this, there's no crystal ball. But when you say we're already doing it, we're already having a workforce, we have a plan in place, here's the projects that we can do, you're always going to get first bid. No intelligent person is going to give money to a newbie when they can give the same amount of money that somebody that's already got the skills and send them the pictures. And it's got the guy with the screwdriver on his belt. That's just absolute common sense. And so what's the number we can get? So the one that I do a lot, you guys, that I can really talk firsthand, is called REAP, R-E-A-P. That's Rural Energy for America program. And it doesn't work in Missoula because we're not rural, but a lot of the small businesses in ag and out here do it. They get 50% of the project upfront in cash. Now, there's that other 30 and 40% that we've been talking about. They give you that 30 or 40% on the whole project, not on the half that you paid. Doesn't make any sense to my brain, but that's okay. I don't make the rules. I just play by them. So if you get 50% upfront in cash and you get 40% back in cash, you get 90% of the project in cash. Now, here's the thing with that. You don't get that until you do it. You got to do it. And so, not to be a pushy rascal, I know it doesn't, no one responds well to that. But if we started with something small, tangible, that we can taste, 60 grand, we get 30 of it back. As we go forward now, applying for these grants, we're not coming from a place of unknown. We're not coming from a place of uncharted water as asking. We're coming from a place of strength. We will get them. We will get them, you guys.
BD, do you have any statistics on your power box?
Yes, we do. That's a great question. So about 10 years ago, we were asked to be on the Home Shopping Network. Now, it sounded like a heck of a good idea at that point, but they couldn't put it on TV advertising that it saved money unless their legal department could prove definitively that it saved money. And so we have all the data that we've gained over the years on the savings, and the savings do vary. It's not like you plug it in and everything goes down 20%. It's not really how it works. Most of our customers, very candidly, are in Florida and Arizona, where they have really big bills with air conditioners that run all the time. Our bills are a little bit smaller here. We live in Western Montana. Most of the savings on a blended average that most of our customers get is around that 25%. So it doesn't change your life, but it does impact. And one of the nice things is you can see it instantly. Like if you've got a meter, you don't have to hope that it's working. You can plug it in a meter and see instantly that it's working. And I'm happy to provide all that data. And on our website, these are $209. We're not going to charge you guys $209. We've got them for basically half price for you guys. And a huge portion of that, almost $40 of that, goes to S&K. So again, not to be repetitive in that, but we did two things. We dropped the price, and nearly half of the money that you'll pay, you're paying to yourself, which I'm great with. I'm fine with. I think it's beautiful. You guys have done a wonderful job for me for 15 years. I've been your customer, so.
And then my second question is, how would you employ them in a building like this?
Boy, that's a beautiful question. Thank you. So what we do is we do a larger unit that's about the size of a shoebox, and it wires at the panel. And I don't know why we haven't done it here. It's been driving me nuts. We've got the whole entire Polson School District is on our system. Dalen, Depews Lumber, his bill's down 20 or 30% or whatever the heck it was. Talk to Dalen about that. And a lot of big factories, companies that you guys know. Daly's Bacon provides more bacon than anybody in Western United States. Their whole factory's on our system. We've all had blue cheese dressing from Lighthouse over in Sandpoint. They've got it. If you're a motorsports guy, I'm a car guy. The best brakes in the world, and probably no one knows this but me, are a brand called Brembo. We did their whole factory in Detroit, Michigan. I mean, the stuff that you guys help us make has got a great national brand and a great national footprint. And it's also kind of criminal that people don't really know that too, because I think we all like to take pride in things. And something that you guys help participate in making right here is saving people money all over the country. In fact, our main big guy that wires in, we ship over 1,000 of those a month to solar installers all over the country, because when they put their solar in, they go ahead and put these in with it. So if you're gonna save somebody 20, 25% on their bill, that's nice. Doesn't change your life. Sure makes your day, but if you're doing solar, if you're gonna spend 40 or 50 grand to go solar, 20% of that, boy, that's a lot. That's a huge difference. And I don't know, I was gonna put it in the video too. I don't know how many of our native people know that the things that they build, a company that they own, is helping the solar industry nationally. I take a tremendous amount of pride in that, and I think you guys should share in it. I think there's a lot of things that we could share in. Right now, I think everybody collectively is a little uncertain about the future, and the energy prices are hitting us. And it feels great to have something that you can take pride in or a win. And that's something I'd love to share too, with ideas on how you guys can know that some of the really neat things that come out of Western Montana that you participate in are having a global effect nationally on green energy and some things like that too, because it's true.
Is electronics using them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Brandy Mergenthaler at Rascal helped me install a few of them a few years ago. If you know that kid, yeah.
Other questions? Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks you guys.
Thanks, BD. I'll next week, circle back on your guys' thoughts and, that we have a weekend to think about it. Next, no, you can, pull it up. Next I have, Art.
A question, Art. Oh, okay. Bing wants to talk to you.
Face to face.
Oh, okay.
While we're waiting, we'll be on page 74, if you guys want to look at that while you're.
And for what it's worth, I have had two of those in my house for the last 8 months or so, and I've definitely noticed a difference. It's not like we use the exact same amount of electricity on a monthly basis, so. But what I can tell is generally our utilization, how many things we have on for how many hours a day is not different. And our bill hasn't gone down, but that's not because we're using more. We're using the kilowatt hours we use are down.
When you put them in the wall, it takes care of the whole house. You don't have to plug everything through them.
No, the plug-in that's part of the unit is not, it's nothing other than convenience, so you don't lose an outlet. The idea is get one on each circuit. I've learned a little bit about electrical, and when you have power coming into your house, it usually comes in two different lines, and try to get one on each line. So, but thank you. And like I said, it's something to think about, and I'll circle back next week.
One thought I had was that if we have an 18% rate increase and we save 25%, well, maybe we've just made up for that 18% rate increase.
I really like the synergy.
Why isn't MVP selling them?
It will, because it will hurt their bottom line a little bit. But I'm not saying they wouldn't.
It would improve their capacity.
Correct. But I don't know that they have an incentive to do it other than us telling them to. So the other issue I have today is not a fun one because it is the result of an oversight on my part. I know the website is, everybody's happy with it, and it's on time, and there's been no hiccups. And I am joking. But the contract that we had originally put in place for the website was set to expire last year, end of August, beginning of September, and that original timeframe was tied to a goal we had when IT thought the current version or our old Joomla website would be officially no longer served. And so we were trying to rush to that. We've provided a couple updates, and so we're obviously not done as of September last year. We're getting very close. But because the contract expired, and this is my oversight, I didn't realize it expired prior to us extending it. We can't officially make payments to Gecko. So what I'm bringing forth is a new contract that's effectively extending. It's a modification of the old contract by way of extending the due date, and it is for the remaining amount of the original contract for the website and the videos and photography that the Gecko folks have done. So this isn't new. This isn't overruns. This is just a mechanism for us to put into place the ability to finalize the payments that are due. And it's $123,425. 20,000 of that approximately is prepayment for the first year of web hosting. And the remainder is about $70,000 of work that Gecko has already performed since September, and we haven't been able to pay. So, as I said, it's not fun for me to sit here and say I screwed up and now we have to do this or new contract or modification, however you want to think about it, when we could have handled it without any fanfare if I would have noticed before it expired.
Go ahead, Len.
Are they planning on coming in and presenting us the final product?
Yes, I believe so, and we are very close. In fact, we already have the draft site. I can't remember what they call it exactly, staging site maybe.
So we're not done yet?
We are working on
so no,
the kinks. No,
okay.
We're not done yet. I hope within the month. And I just didn't want to have to be in the same situation. So the date that I put on this contract of September is just because I didn't want to have to deal with modification and have to come forth again for having it expire.
James.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I know Councilman McDonald was making a comment that the MAC days and some of the things that they do and are web-based, they're having issues with that. So I'm hoping that in this redesign that they've addressed those issues. But I think, I've only been here since January, so it's a little, I hope you can appreciate uneasy that this is something that happened before I got here. Now you're asking me to approve something that was, so that puts me in an awkward spot. But the other thing too is, since I've been elected, I haven't had a report as to this status of this. And then
I thought we did one in January.
I don't remember, maybe I missed it, but I don't know, maybe we did and I forgot, but anyway, it'd be nice to see a status report again as to where we're at. And I know Tom had those issues with, he said they were having issues that they couldn't process stuff for MAC days and a couple other things he mentioned. So hopefully those get addressed in this rework.
So the MAC days, Native Fish Keepers is that they're doing their updates completely separate from this. So and I know Whisper has been diligent, but this is the main CSKT site. It includes the new tribal health site, which is live, 3 chiefs and the bison range.
Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is kind of an addition to what James mentioned. Rick, we don't get a report from any of the executive team members on any of their.
If I may, I'd be happy to have.
No, please let me finish.
Well, I just want to, if there's going to be negative comments made about individuals, I'd
No.
love to take that
I
into
said the
executive.
Executive team, I'm not naming individuals, okay? I'm just mentioning, because James brought that up, that, we don't get any, reports or updates at all from any of the executive team members, and I guess from my perspective, I would at least expect those quarterly reports to the council on what was accomplished and how many members were served, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and things like that. But no, I'm not blasting any particular executive team member. I just think that because the membership expects that kind of information, and when we're asked about it, we don't have it. So I think it would be helpful to us if we can start getting that on a quarterly or monthly basis.
Thank you. My understanding is, that, we're going to restart the practice that we had in place, for a while of, having a rotation on Mondays to council, and that'll start on this upcoming Monday.
Any more questions about the contract? I would entertain a motion to get this contract put in place so the bills can be paid. Motion by Danielle. Second by Ben. All in favor? Neil, Ben? Jennifer? Yeah. James? Martin? 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4. James votes no. And yeah. Jennifer out of the room. Go ahead, Martin.
I forgot to ask while they were here, do you know if, the solar panels can be, I mean, I doubt the organization would use, put power back into the grid, but smaller home, would that put power back in the grid? Do you know anything about that?
I know that there's an agreement that, when you install solar panels, that you can establish with MVP, and I don't know if it's a buyback of energy or if it's as I understand it, there's two options. One is the electric, and I don't know which one MVP does. The electric company buys back the power from you, usually at a relatively minimal rate, or you know how your meter spins this way? It actually spins backwards, and you effectively just use less. Thank you. And once again, I appreciate the comments, and I really appreciate, I would say, can we go exec real quick?
Out of regular into executive.